Welcome to your deep dive listener. Today, we're going incredibly small to explore something incredibly big, nanotechnology.
Sure.
We're talking manipulating matter at the atomic level, a scale so tiny it's like shrinking down 80,000 times smaller than a human hair.
Wow.
Joining me to navigate this mind-boggling world is expert speaker. They've sifted through nanotechnology, a comprehensive exploration, and are here to give us the most fascinating insights. So no need for a superpowered microscope on your end. Are you ready to explore the world of the ultra-small?
Absolutely. And you're right, it's not just about shrinking things down, it's about how materials take on entirely new properties at the nanoscale. It's like they unlock hidden potential, behaving in ways they never would at their normal size.
Okay, hidden potential. Now that's what I call intriguing. What kind of mind-bending changes are we talking about?
Well, think about gold. We picture shiny, yellowish metal, right? But at the nanoscale, gold can actually appear red or even purple. That's because its interaction with light changes drastically at that size.
It's still gold, but it's like it's gotten a serious upgrade. I'm starting to see why nanotechnology is so fascinating. It's not just about making things tiny, it's about unlocking a whole new set of rules for how things work.
Mhm.
But how did we even get here? It feels like something straight out of science fiction.
It does, but the seeds were planted way back in 1959. Physicist Richard Feynman gave a visionary lecture called There's Plenty of Room at the Bottom, where he talked about manipulating individual atoms. He was light years ahead of his time.
1959. That's wild. So how do we go from this almost sci-fi idea to actually manipulating matter at such a tiny scale?
That's where the invention of the scanning tunneling microscope, or STM, comes in. Developed in 1981, this tool was a total game changer. It allowed scientists to not only see individual atoms for the first time, but to actually move them around.
Talk about a giant leap.
Blech.
We went from theorizing about atoms to actually moving them around in just a couple of decades. What happened once we had this ability?
It really sparked the imagination. Just a few years later, in 1986, engineer K. Eric Drexler released his book, Engines of Creation. In it, he presented a bold vision of molecular nanotechnology where tiny machines could be built atom by atom.
Now this sounds like something straight out of a science fiction novel. Were people on board with this idea right away?
It was a pretty radical concept and definitely sparked debate. Some people thought it was too futuristic, but it captivated imaginations and fueled research in the field. And look at us now.
That's a great point. So we've gone from imagining these tiny machines to what are we actually using nanotechnology for today? I have a feeling this is where things get really exciting for our
You're
listeners.
spot on. Nanotechnology is already shaking things up in fields like medicine. It's giving us the tools to create entirely new approaches to diagnosing and treating diseases. We call this exciting area nanomedicine.
Okay, hold on. Nanomedicine. That sounds pretty high tech. Does that mean we've got microscopic robots fighting off infections in our bodies now?
Not quite robots, but close. Imagine nanoparticles as minuscule submarines, delivering medication directly to the cells where it's needed most. This targeted approach means fewer side effects and more effective treatments, especially for something like cancer, where you want to avoid harming healthy cells.
That's amazing. It's like a guided missile for medicine, going straight to the source. What about diagnosing diseases? Can nanotechnology lend a hand there too?
Absolutely. Think even smaller. Scientists are developing incredibly tiny sensors called nanosensors, capable of detecting diseases like cancer at incredibly early stages, even before you have symptoms.
That's incredible. Early detection can be life-saving. But how do these nanosensors actually work? It sounds like something straight out of Star Trek.
It's all about biomarkers, telltale molecules that signal something might be off in the body even before any noticeable symptoms appear. These nanosensors are designed to detect even the tiniest trace of these biomarkers, giving us a much earlier warning system for disease.
So it's like having an incredibly sensitive security system for your body, constantly on the lookout for anything suspicious. It's amazing to think about the potential this has for preventative care.
Exactly. And that's just the beginning. Nanotechnology is also pushing the boundaries of what's possible in electronics.
So we're talking even smaller and more powerful smartphones. I can already picture a phone the size of my fingernail.
Think even further down the line. Imagine harnessing nanomaterials to create completely new types of electronics. We're talking about the very building blocks of our devices, things like transistors, which control the flow of electricity.
Okay, so break it down for me. How can nanotechnology actually improve something like a transistor?
Imagine materials like graphene and carbon nanotubes. These nanomaterials can conduct electricity with incredible efficiency, and we can use them to build transistors that are smaller, faster, and more energy efficient than anything we have today.
So we're talking about a revolution in computing power. It sounds like nanotechnology is giving us the tools to create computers that are not just smaller and faster, but fundamentally different.
Precisely. The possibilities are pretty mind-boggling. It opens doors to things like quantum computing, which would make even today's most powerful supercomputers look like toys. It's a whole other level of computational power.
Quantum computing. Now, that's a topic I definitely want to deep dive into another time. But for now, let's stick with nanotechnology. We've explored its impact on medicine and electronics. What other areas are being transformed by this tiny tech?
Well, one that's incredibly important, especially today, is energy. As the world searches for cleaner, more sustainable energy sources, nanotechnology is emerging as a key player in the game.
That's great to hear. So tell me more about this energy connection. How is nanotechnology impacting how we power our world?
One of the biggest challenges we face with renewable energy sources like solar power is efficiency. We need to squeeze every bit of energy we can from the sun, and that's where nanotechnology can really shine.
Okay, I'm all ears. How can something so small have such a big impact on something as massive as our global energy needs?
It's all about maximizing what we can capture from the sun. By incorporating nanomaterials into solar cells, we can drastically increase their efficiency, allowing them to absorb a wider range of sunlight wavelengths and convert more of it into usable energy.
So it's like giving solar panels a superpower, helping them capture even more of the sun's energy. What about batteries? It seems like we're always searching for ways to make batteries last longer and charge faster. Can nanotechnology work its magic there too?
Absolutely. Nanotechnology is already being used to create batteries that can store more energy, charge faster, and last longer than anything we've seen before. Imagine electric cars that can travel much farther on a single charge, or smartphones that can go for days without needing to be plugged in.
That would be a game changer, especially as we transition to more electric vehicles and rely on portable devices more than ever. This is all incredibly exciting, but I have to ask, are there any downsides to this technology? It can't all be smooth sailing, right?
Yeah, you're right. It's important to consider the full picture. As with any powerful technology, there are always challenges and considerations that come with it.
So what kind of challenges are we talking about here? What are some things we need to be aware of as nanotechnology continues to advance?
One primary concern is the potential for toxicity with certain nanomaterials. Because they're so incredibly small, they can interact with biological systems in ways we don't fully understand yet. Research is ongoing to understand any long-term effects these particles might have on both human health and the environment.
Safety first, of course. So what's being done to address those concerns and make sure nanotechnology is developed and used responsibly?
Scientists and policymakers are working together to develop strict guidelines and regulations for the safe production, use, and even disposal of nanomaterials. It's a rapidly evolving field, which makes staying ahead of potential risks even more important.
That makes sense. We need to be proactive and make sure we're using this technology safely and responsibly. Are there other challenges beyond the safety of the materials themselves that we should be thinking about?
Absolutely. As with any transformative technology, we need to consider the broader societal implications as well. For instance, if nanotechnology leads to significant advancements in areas like medicine, will those advancements be accessible to everyone, or will it create a divide between those who can access it and those who can't? These are important questions we need to be asking ourselves now.
That's a critical point. It's not just about the technology itself, but how it will impact society as a whole.
Mm.
We need to ensure that these advancements benefit everyone, not just a select few. It's a lot to consider, but incredibly important as we venture further into the nano realm.
Precisely. It's about finding that balance, that sweet spot where we can harness the incredible power of nanotechnology to improve our lives and our world, while also addressing the potential challenges thoughtfully and proactively.
Well said. So, where do we go from here? What does the future hold for this incredible field?
The future of nanotechnology is brimming with potential. I think we're just scratching the surface of what's possible. One area that holds immense promise is personalized medicine.
Personalized medicine that sounds incredibly futuristic. What exactly does that entail?
Imagine receiving medical treatments tailored specifically to your unique genetic makeup. With nanotechnology, we can target therapies with incredible accuracy, delivering medication directly to the source of the problem and minimizing side effects.
It's like having a custom-made treatment plan designed specifically for you. That's incredible. What about energy? We talked about solar cells and batteries, but are there other ways nanotechnology could help us create a more sustainable energy future?
Absolutely. Researchers are exploring the use of nanomaterials to develop even more efficient energy generation and storage systems. Imagine a future powered by clean, affordable energy thanks in part to breakthroughs in nanotechnology.
Clean, affordable energy. Who wouldn't want that? It's exciting to think about the positive impact this could have on a global scale. But let's zoom back in for a moment. Besides the practical applications in fields like medicine and energy, are there any other exciting developments in nanotechnology that really pique your interest?
One area I find particularly fascinating is the continued development of quantum computing. It's still in its early stages, but harnessing quantum effects at the nanoscale could lead to computing power that dwarfs anything we have today.
Quantum computing.
Yeah.
That's right, we touched on it earlier, and it definitely deserves its own deep dive sometime. It seems like every time we talk about nanotechnology, we uncover even more incredible possibilities.
Absolutely. It's an incredibly exciting time to be following this field. Who knows what breakthroughs await us in the coming years?
It really feels like we're on the cusp of a technological revolution with nanotechnology leading the charge. Well, listener, there you have it. A whirlwind tour through the incredible world of nanotechnology. It's clear that this field, while still in its early stages, has the potential to revolutionize just about everything. It's definitely worth keeping an eye on, wouldn't you
Yeah.
say? It really does feel like we're witnessing the birth of something huge. It's like having a front row seat to the future, and it's brimming with potential.
I couldn't agree more. Nanotechnology is like having a brand new toolbox for solving some of the world's biggest challenges.
And speaking of tackling big challenges, we'd be remiss not to revisit that source material. Nanotechnology, a comprehensive exploration. It's packed with even more fascinating details about this incredible field.
It really is a treasure trove of information, covering everything from the fundamental principles to the most cutting-edge advancements.
It's the perfect resource for anyone who wants to dive even deeper into the world of nanotechnology, and I know our listeners are a curious bunch. But before we wrap up this deep dive, I have one final question for you. If you could use nanotechnology to solve one global problem, what would it be and why?
That's a tough one. So many possibilities. But if I had to choose just one, I think I'd focus on clean water. Imagine using nanotechnology to create highly efficient and affordable water filtration systems that could provide clean drinking water to every corner of the globe.
Now, that's a future I can get behind.
Yeah.
Clean water is essential for life, and nanotechnology could be the key to unlocking this precious resource for everyone. Well, listener, there you have it, your crash course in all things nano. From revolutionizing medicine to transforming energy and even purifying our water, the possibilities with this technology seem limitless. It's been amazing exploring this tiny world with huge implications, and we can't wait to see what breakthroughs await us in the future. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time.